movement. And September 29, 2016, I got warnings and watches from October the 1st till next year for the coming economy collapse. And I'm going to explain why as we're getting close to October the 1st. And it's crazy, folks. But before that, I've been watching this asteroid or comet since Saturday and Sunday, since the other side of the sun. And it ain't no planet. It wouldn't shine like that. I have no clue what this thing is. Could be asteroid, could be a comet. But it's heading towards Earth, folks. I want everyone out there to be prepared. Alright? Yeah, be prepared. On September 26th, we seen an asteroid. There was a media blackout about it. They hit it off the coast, on the west coast of Australia, the northwest off of Queensland. So I want everyone to be prepared. So, on October the 1st, the IMF lets China become one of the world's global currency. But before we get into that, just type in news, see what the IMF is up to. IMF chief Lagarde calls trade restriction economy malpractice. They're talking IMF urges Brazil to stop up Austria to shield recovery in Brazil. German conservative raised pressure on IMF to join the Greek bailout. All right, folks. So we got a lot of stuff going on with the IMF. But breaking news, I've been reporting about it all month, but and it's coming in 2 days. On October the 1st, China becomes one of the world's currency, folks. All right, at the IMF. All right, they're going to have their own central bank in China, and China's ambition plan to make the yen, their ruble, world's go-to currency. China's long-held desire of providing an alternative to the U.S. dollar will happen on October the 1st, when the yen enters the International Monetary Fund. So on October the 1st, the Chinese ruble, yuan, or however you pronounce it, becomes one of the 6 global reserve currency. The number one economy in the world is the United States of America. And by the end of this year, we're going to be $20 trillion in debt. And by the end of this year, we're going to be near 200% GDP worldwide. So that means every person in the United States of America will owe 200% to the federal government, the IMF, the central banks of the world. Number 2 economy is China, and they don't owe nothing. The only way they're going to get us to pay back is when they become part of the IMF. Russia's going to drop the US dollar. North Korea, South Korea, all the Asian cultures, some of our European people are going to drop the dollar bill as the global currency. One of the reserve global currencies is the pound, the British pound, and the euro. But that ain't never going to come to fruition because the UK is trying to leave the European Union. Okay, folks, so I got warnings and watches for October the 3rd. A possible market collapse next week from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th until next year, 2017. But also on October the 1st, the deadline looms to stop Obama's administration from giving up the internet. On October the 1st, the United States of America is selling the internet to the ICANN and the United Nations. All right. So that means no more freedom of speech, basically. They could delete your video. In the United States of America, we ain't got power of freedom of speech on the internet no more. But the real reason I'm doing this video is because of Donald Trump. Alright? We're seeing all this global recession, and he keeps on telling us that there's a bubble. He's absolutely right. There is a bubble. Alright? Him and Hillary Clinton, I'm going to do a video on both of them later on. They're both bad. Okay? Hillary Clinton's a psycho. Same with Donald Trump. He's a psycho. Alright? Donald Trump doesn't know what's going on. He's a puppet for the New World Order. And that's how he got rich, is off the New World Order. And everyone thinks, oh, he ain't with mainstream media or none of this stuff. This dude is mainstream media. Alright? He had 14 seasons on The Apprentice. Alright? He was getting people prepared, sitting in that chair, becoming the president of the United States of America. He's giving you a foresight. Alright, folks? He's been doing this for years, alright? So who is Donald Trump? All right, so let's read this. This is the Wall Street Journal. They wrote this. Donald Trump owes at least $250 million to banks. Republican president candidate Donald Trump owes at least $250 million to banks for various real estate projects according to his personal financial disclosure forms. His creditor mostly are small firms from New Jersey-based Amboy Bank to specialized real estate firm Ladder Capital Finance. Dutch Bank is the only bank with a big Wall Street presence that continues to lend to him. Do you ever know who Dutch Bank is? Dutch Bank is collapsing, folks. And it's going to bring down Germany. That's why Germany been warning their people for something to happen. Either economy or a war is coming. They're telling their people to stockpile. German financial watchdog now working on an emergency plan for the Dutch Bank. And we all been seeing this. The Dutch Bank is collapsing in Germany. All right. And who backs them? Who backs Donald Trump? The Dutch Bank that's going bankrupt. Another firm that's sponsoring, Donald Trump is also Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo is one of the big four banks in the United States of America. All right. And they were creating fraudulent accounts for people. And they're stealing people's identity to open up more accounts so it looks like more money. All right. So Donald Trump knows that there's an economy bubble because all these banks that support him are in that bubble. It's not just those banks. It's Bank of America. It's Chase, all of them. So let's read on. So how does Donald Trump really make his name, folks? I mean, his money. He uses his name. All right. So since 2012, the German bank has lent Mr. Trump more than $300 million through its private bank. Most recently, it committed to lending Mr. Trump $170 million to help with the ongoing renovation of an old post office building in Washington, which the basement is converting into a luxury hotel. Early deals were done through the investment bank, but ties to that unity frayed after Mr. Trump sued Dutch Bank over 2005 Chicago property loan. The suit was settled 5 years later. Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan and Company, and Morgan Stanley are among the big Wall Street shops that do very little, if any, to work with Trump affiliate business. Bankers say that's partly because this is where we're going into. Mr. Trump has moved away from developing multi-million-dollar real estate projects to managing them and leasing the Trump name, reducing his need to borrow. All right, you guys can read the rest of the article, but that's what I'm indicating. He leases and licenses the Trump name. All right. In 1988, Trump was thinking about running for presidency. Then he bought the Taj Mahal and all these casinos in Atlantic City. People say that was a stupid move. And it was a stupid move. All right. All his businesses went bankrupt because of that. All these banks that I just read off used to do business with them. Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They used to let him as much money as he wanted. When he went bankrupt, they all were scared and they all went to Trump Towers. We're talking about 40 banks. This is the truth, folks. Went to Trump Tower, sat down with Trump. Trump sat there, didn't worry about nothing. And guess what? He's still a billionaire, right? How did he get out of bankruptcy without paying the banks? Well, he came up with a way. All those buildings that foreclosed that when he did the bankruptcy all had his name, Trump. Trump Tower, Trump Taj Mahal, Trump this, Trump that, Trump that. And then you see him in commercials and all that stuff, all right? So this dude's a puppet. This dude is a puppet, man. Or he's just really smart as the Antichrist, but he's a puppet, folks. Donald Trump gets rich off of leasing his name, selling his name. All right? And the banks know it, and they let him money for this. He is controlled by the banks. So when he's talking to the people that there's a big bubble, and he's talking about the government, the federal government, and all this stuff, all right? And all these conspiracy theories, we're going to get deeper into Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter who won. They're both going for the same agenda because they both agree on the same agenda for what's coming to this world. Our economy is going to collapse, and we know it. So they're preparing people, and our economy could collapse within October, before election. If our economy collapses before election, Donald Trump will become a president of the United States 100%. Trump sells his name. Trump sells his name. When you see him talking, you see his name up there, Trump. He's leasing his name to banks. The banks are behind. The banks are telling him the secrets. The banks will control America 100%. Donald Trump's in there. All right? Donald Trump is controlled by the banksters. Or Donald Trump controls the banksters. All right? And there's prophecies and there's a lot of stuff about this guy that's just too strange to be coincidence. All right? Donald Trump got rich because he sells his name like the Taj Mahal. Trump has his name still out. All these Trump buildings around the world has his name because he leases his name. These banks, when he went bankrupt, couldn't pay back the banks, so he leased his name to get out of bankruptcy, folks. And that's crazy. He doesn't do real estate. We all know him. And people are like, oh, he ain't mainstream news. And he talks about how he's not mainstream news or he ain't mainstream TV. He had a show for 14 seasons on The Apprentice. That ain't mainstream TV. He was preparing the world because he can say whatever he wants. And he don't care. And people don't care because the world wants to be rich. The world's goal is to become rich, is to be like Donald Trump. Is to become a billionaire, to live a playboy lifestyle. That's the image that people get when they see him. And they think that this guy, he went through bankruptcy and bankrupt all his company. And the banks are behind him and had to get him out. If he wasn't broke, why would he do TV shows? Why wouldn't he release his tax information? Because the banks control him. The federal banks control him. All right? And it's deep, folks. I just want everyone out there to be prepared. I got a lot more stuff coming up. All right? I got the weather coming up. And I got the aliens, too, man. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but when you talk about the world's smartest man, Stephen Hawkins, talking about extraterrestrial life, you gotta pause there for a second, because he's one of the world's smartest people, right? This is the No Face Movement, moving till next time. I'm gonna bring you deeper videos as we get to the Ghost of the Machine, and I'm about to give you the real news on the New World Order. I'm gonna give you the truth. Not what everyone else is telling you about, because I've been reporting news and been warning people for years. We're ready in this scenario. That's the problem. We're ready in the New World Order. You know? They don't want people to unite. They don't want people to unite. They want to keep people divided. Alright? When you elect Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, they're both the same candidacy. Even though it's Republican and Democrat, it's like picking McDonald's or Burger King. What one's healthier to eat? Alright? You only got two choices, Pepsi or Coke. These are choices that they give you. And then you'd be thinking, where's the independent dude? There should be a third person out there, independent. Since no one wants to vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, and since the news and everyone else in the world thinks Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are so bad, why ain't they showing the independent candidate? You know, the people's candidate. It's because these people are puppets. Donald Trump has agreements, do Apprentice, and now he's on TV running for president of the United States of America. He's controlled by the banks lease his name, that's how he makes his money. Alright, folks, I want everyone out there to be prepared. This just makes me mad. And Hillary Clinton's just as crazy with her emails and killing people, taking over land. Alright, she's just as crazy. Alright, folks, this is the movement till next time. Facing off.